Well, I'm in Brooklyn outside a fire station, so we've come over the East River from Manhattan to be here. Well, 10 years ago, these guys from here, collectively known as Engine 220, they raced over the Brooklyn Bridge to do what they could to help out at the Twin Towers. And one of those guys helping out was firefighter Dean Katsouris, and he joins me now. Dean, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So 10 years ago, you dashed over the Brooklyn Bridge. What were you expecting?
We were expecting to go put out a fire. We had a giant high-rise fire. We saw the planes go in. There was a guy here had over 30 years on the job, and he told us it was a terrorist act. So on the way over, we were very frightful that they were going to blow up the bridge. There was going to be more incidents.
And you said it was chaos. I remember reading somewhere where you described it as chaos.
Yeah.
What was it like at the site? Give us a picture of what chaos means.
Chaos meaning, as soon as we got there, there was numerous emergency vehicles just parked everywhere, people fleeing. The first thing I remember seeing was bodies coming out of the building and like landing and hitting the ground.
You mean jumpers?
Jumpers, yeah. And it was a horrific sight. It unnerved all of us. We were just like, I can't believe what's going on here. The glass was coming down. There was parts of the building coming down. And we marched up West Street to the South Walkway by the South Tower, where a chief told us to get into the South Tower. That was our mission right then, to get into that building.
Now, the South Tower, as we all know, came down. How did you get out of the South Tower?
Okay.
How did you survive?
Okay, we never got into the South Tower. We were on Liberty Street, and there was a lot of debris coming down on Liberty Street. So the captain that day, he thought it would be wise if we got into the South Tower on a diagonal, not to go down Liberty, because there was just so much. A firefighter had been killed. Danny Sir had been hit with a jumper just before we got there. They were taking him away. And the captain said, you know what, we got to go around. So as we were headed down like Greenwich Street, we were going to go around the Deutsche Bank by 10 and 10 and go on a diagonal, because nothing was falling on the diagonal. And as we were going down Greenwich Street, I was looking at the South Tower the moment it started to collapse. And my first couple of steps were straight up in the air. It was just so frightening. It was like Scooby-Doo, like, you know, just like, and we all ran and we got behind the Deutsche Bank for the collapse. The dirt level was above our heads. I actually had to scrape like a snowball's of dirt out of my mouth before I could take my first breath to get my air on, to go onto air. And the building shook. It was loud as can be. It sounded like freight trains, like a million freight trains, like just like a million explosions, all the glass breaking. And I saw it coming down, but at first I really wasn't sure exactly what happened. You know, it was just so amazing. Like, you know, who would think that this building can come down like that?
Outside so many firehouses or fire stations, you see plaques with the names of guys lost on 9/11.
Yes.
It appears there's no plaques here, so
11 of us went that day, and 11 of us made it home. But we did have a firefighter, Keith Roy Maynard, who was in 33 Engine that day. We do a rotation where you go to different firehouses to work. He was working in 33 Engine that day, and he didn't make it out that day. We have a memorial set up in here for Keith Roy.
343 of your fellow officers were killed in the attacks. And I was reading where the counsellors say one of the biggest questions they hear, one of the most often repeated questions is, why did I survive? Is this a question you ask of yourself?
Yes. And, you know, I'm religious, I'm Catholic. I believe God has a plan for me, you know, and it just wasn't my time. God has other things for me to do in this life.
Have you struggled with that question though? Have you struggled to reconcile what you saw and experienced that day and to get on with life?
Sure. I've been going for counseling since the week after 9/11. You know, it's hard to deal with what I saw. No human being should have to see what I saw that day. It was horrific. It really was.
And Dean, you wear your heart on your sleeve, or at least on your arm, with a memorial here.
Yes.
Tell us what you've got with this tattoo.
That's a little memorial I had done for the 343 firefighters that we lost that day, and it says, never forget, and I never will forget, the bravery and the courage of these men and the selflessness. It's all about selflessness.